The following podcast is a W2M Network original production. Visit W2Mnet.com for all of our other great podcasts, plus news, reviews, articles, and opinions from the worlds of wrestling, video games, football, and entertainment.
Siempre positivo y me activo. Venga, yo le paso la buena vibra. Positivo, porque la vida es una y tenemos que gozar, yeah.
Hello and welcome to another World Cup edition of Soccer to the Max. And we've been in celebration mode the last couple of days, but I feel like we can't be for this one as another team has been eliminated. And it's one that really tugs at my heartstrings because I have friends that are Peruvian. It's also one of the Latino teams, and it's difficult because it's Peru and they played really well, and unfortunately they lost to France by the slimmest of margins, just like they did to Denmark. And they don't get to go through. We'll talk about that. Even though they even got life from Denmark and Australia in the earlier game. But Australia apparently can't seem to score from the run of play. So that's also an interesting thing to discuss. And you got the big shocker between Croatia and Argentina that puts them on the brink as well. But I'm not here by myself talking about this, of course. Also, here is Mr. Erik Watkins.
Damn it, Ronaldo! How dare you try to grow your own version of a playoff beard? Just stop it! Although I will say, kudos for springing that rock. What was that, 8 carats? 10?
Whew.
Well done.
I bet Rachel would want one of those.
Rachel would want one of them, but as Eric and I had talked about earlier, got to take it back and, hey, Theodor Smolov, Russian men's national team, I know you're single. I'm single. I'm waiting for my rock.
Well done. We'll see if Fedor...
I have a great pitch. I make a fantastic grilled cheese sandwich. I make killer pina coladas. Don't know if that's the drink of Russia, but I can throw some vodka in there.
See what you're missing there, Fedor?
Honestly, Rachel, you leave this to me. Put together a list of bullet points, and for tomorrow's broadcast, I will gladly do my best in Russian to convince him. My only request is that if you're getting someone, I would not mind a Russian bride for myself. It would solve a lot of problems.
Done and done.
Don't forget about me over here. Be nice too. But,
Yeah, we'll get you too, Sean. Don't worry. 2 for 1.
So... Hey, going back to what you said, though, Eric, I was surprised at how surprised Ronaldo seemed to be about the whole growing a playoff beard. It seemed like he'd never done anything like that before. He was like, I was going to shave. I was sitting there in the sauna. I was going to shave. And then I realized it brought me luck. And I'm kind of like, well, maybe I should just keep this for the whole tournament. I'm just like, all right. I guess that's not a thing in Portugal, but...
Well, I mean, really it isn't. And I mean, if you're sitting in the sauna, you're with your teammates. He mentioned he was with Quaresma, and it started off as just a joke. And I'm like, all right, fine. What he should really do is combine that with the fact that I wore his jersey once before the first day of the tournament, as it got started, when he didn't play, have yet to wear it since, and you've scored 4 goals. You're welcome.
See? Eric always has a cool story to tell us here, but let's discuss this first game here for Denmark and Australia. Christian Eriksen with the fantastic goal off sometimes we make comparisons to the sports. I liken it to the whole, when they say in basketball, moving without the ball. Christian Eriksen did a wonderful moving without the ball, the number 9 with a nice little flick too. I mean, who would think? Not everybody can do that kind of thing. That's a nice little flick. Eriksen just happens to be there to just whack it in the net. And then Urief, who I think was the only Denmark player that had a yellow card previously, so I'm guessing that means he's suspended for the next match because he got a yellow card for a handball. And what do you know? Jedniak steps up there. He does what Messi can't do, and he hits a penalty. That's twice now for the man. 2 for 2. And Australia, that's the only goal. That's their only goals is penalties.
2 for 2, and not to mention, he's the guy that caused it on a yellow, got another yellow, so he's suspended, and that's twice he's set up a penalty for the other team. It's like, really? And then let's be real, Jedinak, that's how you grow a playoff beard.
That's a killer. That's the lumberjack from Portland needs to be envious. That's a beard, folks. But no, seriously, I think Australia showed much better in this game. They were really much more attacking, much more flowing. I thought Cruz looked pretty good. He just couldn't be on the end of certain balls that were in the area. Denmark I thought played the way they're going to. They're waiting on the counter to do something. Australia was allowed to go forward more, and they showed well. I think they were fine with their point.
Yeah, because, if you look at expectations, we all pretty much said this was a team that wasn't really set to do anything. And now, not only did they improve their performance, they could look back and say, well, we got a big result, and they could finish the tournament with 2 points, or even have a shock, get themselves a 1-0 win and finish with 4 points. And then what?
The thing is, too, it's quite possible. Let's say France puts 2 past Denmark or something like that. Hey, Australia doesn't have to do a whole lot to advance.
No. Boy, that would be scary.
Right? Australia out of nowhere advances, and you're going, well, that's not one that a lot of people picked.
Socceroos.
Well, do you think that Australia has a legit shot? I would think that Peru is really going to go out there with the people that came to Russia to root them on. They're really going to go out there and at least try to get 3 points. This is not going to be Australia walk over Peru game.
No, I think Peru's going to give a good fight. Maybe show one last ditch effort, even though they can't get into the next round. But I don't think they're going to make it easy. And if I'm looking at Peru from what I've seen in the tournament, because like we said off air, they've been good. They've been playing well. It's just they haven't had goals go in. And if they play the way they keep playing, then I can see them walking over Australia.
What do you think, Eric?
Honestly, for a team and they talk about it all the time, this is their first World Cup since '82. They've got a big legion of fans, whereas with Australia, yes, they're going to show a little bit of fight. They just don't have as much heart. They don't really have that dog. Peru does. They're like, no, we're not going to roll over. We're not going to be embarrassed. If we're out, we're going to provide our best. And Australia's got a good chance to fight back, but I think Peru is just going to be very smothering and very dominant in that match.
They've been that way for both these games. Peru has very big moments of where they dominated possession and they really took it to the team. They just happened to be playing against 2 really solid defenses in Denmark and France. And, Australia's is not so on that end, but Matt Ryan, I think, has done a great job of making some really key saves. And once again, VAR comes up big in a tight spot to help out Australia, keep things in there. But yeah, they definitely show that they can, if they're pressed like they will be in this game against Peru, to go forward, they can do it. So it's just, about sometimes a little bit of luck, and I think that's certainly something that did not fall Peru's way when it comes to this game against France. Mbappe getting one of the easiest goals. You'll see. Just gets a nice little lift from Pogba and winds up at his feet.
I'm about to say he owes Pogba a nice little bottle of wine, maybe some champagne for that one, and I'm surprised Pogba didn't brag about that more in his diary.
Yeah, no, I like his diaries are pretty cool. I'll give him that. I've enjoyed each one of them, but man, there was so many times Peru was absolutely just owning France, especially in the second half where France just, it seemed like they didn't care to go forward at all. And they were letting Peru just come at them. And if they could have really been able to get something together and actually make some dangerous shots at goal, I wonder if we're looking at 1-1 instead. I think that's just the problem is France was really well positioned and it was clogged back in that 18-yard area. They really couldn't get great passes. I mean, they got some crosses in, but it wasn't anything that was really threatening. That one, I think it was either Carrillo. I think it was Carrillo that had the shot that went over, and then Aquino had the one that like bounced off the post on the left side of the post or whatever.
Yeah,
that's about as far as they got.
Right on, almost at that exact angle between that post and the crossbar. I mean, even if you aim, you couldn't get that close.
Yeah, I mean, and this is another game where I really wasn't necessarily convinced too much by France either. I mean, again, they were well positioned defensively, but they were not, for all the stars they have, I don't feel like, oh, we need to be scared of France.
I mean, they were starting to flow a bit more on the ball. I will give them that. They did have a little bit of that flair. I will give them that. But you're absolutely right. You take that away, and it was just pretty dull. I mean, they could have very easily dropped 2 points. If not, if both of those chances go in, they could lose. So it's like, okay, you have that little bit of showtime everybody's been asking for, but you're not putting together a complete effort yet.
How do you feel about your boy Yoshimar Yotun? I thought he's had 2 solid games.
Wait, me or?
Yeah, you. Go ahead. I mean, Orlando, man.
Yeah, I thought he did well. Again, it's just part of that little bit of unluckiness. I don't know, maybe he caught that from Orlando and brought it with him, but there's nothing really that I've been able to complain about.
Yeah, I feel like he's played as well. He's had opportunities where he's put balls into play. I think he had the one where he tried to catch Lloris off his line, and it, didn't get close, but he tried. And
the fact that he even had that killer instinct in that moment is a big plus. Now, when you get into that situation with the killer instinct, work on your finishing. Maybe whoever's new in charge down in Orlando could help him with that.
Rachel, I mean, it's got to be a little disheartening to see like a team of Peru that they really brought the heart. They ran their hearts out. They were pressing and attacking for the most part. You had the story with Paulo Guerrero, who unfortunately just barely misses on that crazy back heel in the first game. And they get no points and they're eliminated.
Well, and it stinks, especially because, you said they have so many fans over there that have traveled. I mean, I got goosebumps when I heard everyone sing the anthem during their first match. And it really, that's soccer. It breaks your heart sometimes, but it's still the beautiful game. These guys have one more match. They know that they're not advancing, but they're still going to put on a heck of a show before they have to go back to Peru and then to their club teams. It really hurts because of the 36 years and you wanted to root for them so badly because of the Cinderella story of how they got there, but that's just soccer.
Yeah, and how do you feel about France in these two games, Rachel? I mean, if you're Denmark, you got to be feeling pretty good going into that game.
Well, in Denmark, getting a goal is definitely getting a goal and winning because, as we know, they drew in their first match. It's going to give them some confidence, and France is going to be kind of timid. So what Denmark needs to do is they need to attack. And when they do get that first goal, keep attacking. Don't take your foot off the gas too much. France should be a little bit worried.
Yeah, maybe France is just waiting to... Maybe they've underestimated their first two games and they know now, okay, we're going against another big European opponent. Let's turn it on. Or perhaps France just keeps playing the way they have been and they wind up slotting into that second spot because they haven't played up to the potential that you think. And speaking of a team not playing up to their potential, especially considering who leads them and Lionel Messi... Argentina today. Absolutely one of the worst performances from them. I think their biggest loss since 1958 in a World Cup.
Oh,
you talk about getting... Go ahead.
Oh, biggest group stage loss. Worst start to a group stage since 58. Biggest group stage loss ever. First time that they are not going to be able to top their group since 2002.
They also have like 4 games running they haven't won.
Mm-hmm. That's the first time.
World Cups. I think also it's just the more important thing to me is they look lost. There was no midfield connection at all. Modric and Rakitic were absolutely just bossing them around. I mean, that whoever is supposed to be controlling that part of Argentina was non-existent. Modric absolutely just destroyed whatever Messi and everybody else wanted to do. They got a few chances. The one from Messi, I think, is the closest to one. But honestly, the thing you got to talk about is perhaps the goal. I mean, for me, it's right up there with Coutinho as far as goal of the tournament because I think that's such a... we know what Coutinho did is great, and also what Mertens did is great. I mean, those are coming in, the ball's there, you hit it, and you get to hit it wonderfully and whatever. But what Modric did to make space for himself and then hit it like that, that's the ones that always stand out to me. That's amazing. That second goal from Modric was just nasty.
Yeah, you combine that one and then the one that was pretty much gifted thanks to another goof from a keeper. It's just if you've got a team that that can hit shots from those angles, bending the ball the way they do and being that dangerous, you have to tighten up. And now Croatia is saying, hey, remember this kind of a style and this team from when we made our run back in 98? We could do it again. Now what? Come at us.
They certainly could. I mean, Mandzukic had that header that went wide. I think it's the Caballero thing that's just one of those really unfortunate blooper reel just happened. And I mean, what a shot on that one too. Like, that's not easy to just hit that like that. Like, man. And nice team play as well on the third one, just to put Argentina out of their misery. I mean,
don't stop play until the whistle. I don't know what Argentina was doing. They're so dumb, and I'm so happy they're losing.
I think by that point they were just ready to get off the field. Like, Messi...
Well, yeah, because Messi had to throw his temper tantrum and run to the locker room because woe is him, and I can't wait for another retirement announcement. I hate him.
I mean, but did you see him during the freaking anthem? Like, he's sitting there...
Yeah, like that just... I hate him.
Leo,
I hate him.
Leo, look, if you've got Maradona kissing your jersey and doing a whole bunch of a ritual, he's trying to give you a boost. Can you act like you give a damn, please?
No, I don't know that it's just... let's be honest, the team around him's not that great, and I think Sampaoli is trying to figure it out. It's just, honestly, for me, Croatia had this... They knew what they were going to do. They put out the game plan. They had the midfielders to absolutely destroy anything. And there was nothing Argentina was going to do about that. It's just... They don't have a terrific set of... They have some talent, but they are not a team. They're just... There was a lot of times they're sitting there just waiting for Messi to do something again. We're back to this. Wait for Messi to do something. And I think that just... In other tournaments, you could get away with that, but this group is too good. We talked about this being the group of death. This group is too good to be sitting there doing the whole, okay, Messi, save us. Like,
If I'm the person that has to play the team that has to play Croatia, I would be nervous. And I think Stuart Holden said it perfectly on the broadcast. There is way too much focus on the individual for Argentina. There was literally, for 90 minutes, no team effort, no collective team effort. It was all individual. And you can't have that. Croatia played like a team. They played like a good, solid team that, by the way, could make a really good run in this tournament.
Oh, no, they certainly could. I think that's definitely... They've proven themselves to be a dark horse, and especially... with Iceland coming up next, who had them in the group, who knows them, who beat them. I think how they deal with Iceland, I mean, obviously, Iceland, regardless of what happens against Nigeria, will have the ability to be able to make it still on the final day. So Iceland's going to be up for it, and that one's going to be really interesting how Croatia comes into that. You know, do they start subbing people to get, Modric and Rakitic and those guys some rest? Or do they go out there with the full team and make sure they get those full 9 points or whatever? I mean, I think they would, regardless, because they have the head-to-head against Nigeria, barring any kind of ridiculous, like, Nigeria just putting, 6 goals past Argentina. I think they wouldn't even snuff them. So they could technically put out a bunch of, B squad players and be good. But, I don't think they'll do that. I think they're going to put out most of the full team, and Iceland's going to have their hands full, and let's see what happens. Obviously, again, if Iceland's able to pull off the win against Nigeria, then all bets are off at that point because they don't have to do much to both progress. But...
Well, and to look even further, I mean, if we're looking at the Argentina that played today, I would take Nigeria over Argentina any day of the week.
Yeah, that one's going to be important because obviously if Nigeria don't beat Iceland, then Nigeria's out. So, and at that point, it's just two teams that are... I mean, Argentina's not eliminated at that point because, I mean, they'll have to make up a lot of goals. But it looks very slim right now. They'd have to, score at least 3 or 4 or even possibly 5 against Nigeria, depending on what happens in the game against Iceland. That's a lot, considering that they have scored a total of 1 in 2 games. Yikes. I don't know.
Yeah, it's And with the way that this tournament has gone so far, anything's possible, but I'm going to call it now. The Albiceleste, thanks for screwing up my bracket. Ugh. And
Thanks for screwing up a lot of people's brackets, and just that feeling that country must have right now with how rich of a nation they are in when it comes to soccer. It's just, disgust.
And all the commercials that I see about the potential game between Messi and Suarez, I'm like, hello, that was going to be my third place match. Way to hold up your end of the bargain.
Again, one state, they're not totally out of it. I mean, Nigeria could put some goals past Iceland and make the deficit a lot easier for Argentina to overcome. But it could go the other way as well, and lots can happen in this game that needs to take place tomorrow. And that's what's interesting is Nigeria, they had an unlucky penalty, put them 2 down, and that was sort of enough for Croatia to take the day. Again, they have really good attacking talent, but you worry about them defensively. Iceland is a very organized team. They can score when they need to, and I think that's what might worry you if you're Nigeria. If they can deal with your attacks as they come, can you deal with their counterattacks? And that's where I would give Iceland the edge.
I would have to give the edge for that, and I will go a step further. Nigeria is one of those teams that not just attack, they rely a lot on speed in general. Iceland does not mind slowing down the pace and eliminating that speed, and then, as you said, scoring if they have to. Can you find a way to make Iceland play faster? If you can't, you're going to run into problems.
Yeah, I think Nigeria's is much more of a chaotic attack, whereas Senegal, they were much more organized. They would go forward. Of course, when you have Sadio Mane up there leading your line, that helps a lot more. But yeah, I think Nigeria is going to be another one of these African teams going down, and it's sad. The African teams have not, aside from Senegal, have not performed that well in this tournament so far. So that might be once again the case. But before we get out of here, we need to discuss the 2 big Group E games that happen. Of course, they start bright and early, 8 in the morning, with Neymar, who is supposedly healed from his injury. But we went through this the whole entire World Cup last time. Oh, my ankle's fine. Oh, he plays the next game. Oh, his ankle's not that, still hurting. Oh, and Costa Rica has the players that are going to probably do the same thing Switzerland went through and bombard him and, mess with that ankle and everything else. They're going to make his life hell. I think Brazil is going to do just enough. I know Danilo got hurt in practice, but I think they'll do just enough and possibly get like a 1-0 or something like that against Costa Rica. I don't know. Nothing I saw out of Costa Rica against Serbia was, I guess, out of the norm for them, but they try to play like that again. I feel like Brazil's going to burn them.
Easily. And they said, Neymar, his ankle's fine, but then they also said, he suffered 10 fouls, and most fouls or like a player suffered since this, and most fouls Brazilian has suffered since, Pele back in 66. And I'm like, yeah, your ankle's going to hurt if you have people kick and stomp the crap out of you, and you have another team that says, ooh, they did that and got away with it. Let's do that ourselves. So it's going to get even worse.
Yeah, if I'm Brazil, I'm either trying to keep someone around him on my team so that they can't be kicking him and doing all that, or you might have to try to find other spots where you can give him the ball and see what he can do. But I would expect that the referees are going to be a lot more eyeing that and calling the fouls this time around. And if you can bet, if VAR is, rears its head again or doesn't rear its head, it might make the call in Brazil's favor they did not get in the previous game. But we'll see. I mean, I know you're sort of rooting for Costa Rica, Rachel. I mean,
They're going to break my heart. I've already accepted it.
you think they lose here?
Oh, vamos los ticos. Yeah.
Sounded so not endorsing at all.
Well, you still have your potential future husband to root for. That should be something.
As long as Russia stays in. Fader, I'm single.
You heard the call once again, Fedor.
Oh no, he hasn't heard the call yet. I've got to officially make the call tomorrow. Like I said, just bullet points. I will do my best.
Well, still plenty of action left in round 2. You still got groups E, F, G, and H to be figured out before we get to that decisive round 3 and finally know who's getting out into the knockout stage. Brazil could put themselves one foot in the door if they're able to beat Costa Rica, but could they put another kind of dismal effort in there? And you never know. Costa Rica steals one, do they get another draw and they have to wait till the last game? And could Switzerland wind up taking first in the group if they can get a win against Serbia? That one's either going to be really boring, Serbia or Switzerland. It's going to surprise us. Let's hope it's on the surprising end, but I'm not holding my breath for that one. But yeah, I think that's going to do it for us here discussing this World Cup day. We'll be back again tomorrow to discuss the 3 games we kind of previewed there. Hopefully Neymar has a better showing for Brazil, and hopefully Costa Rica keeps up some. And also, of course, you got the big decisive game in for Group D that kind of decides what happens with the rest of those teams, who matters and who doesn't when it comes to Nigeria and Iceland and Argentina as well. They're holding their breath, hoping Nigeria win. But until then, if you like what you heard, hit subscribe. Soccer to the Max to get all of our World Cup daily shows. Every time they hit, you get it in your queue and you can listen whenever you like on your way to work or wherever have you. If you like us that much, you can go on iTunes. You know, if you don't have an iPhone, you can go on iTunes on the computer. You can borrow your friend's phone. However it is that you access iTunes, you can do that and leave us a review, 5 stars, and leave us some nice comments there. And yeah, we'll be back tomorrow. See you later, everybody.
Peace.
Call me Fader.